Welcome back. When we left off in the part 3B of the Sales at POS tutorial, we mainly looked at pricing, stocked, and write-in parts. And now we'll start this lesson with sourcing write-in parts and parts with insufficient cell quantity. So now let's start by entering a not in file part and enter the customer pricing in the price edit window. And when the window closes, the insufficient quantity window automatically opens. The system checks stock from all the suppliers set up to source from, whether warehouses, hub stores, or sister stores, and displays the quantity available for each. And just so you can see, let's go back and enter a stocked part with insufficient cell quantity. And when enter is hit on the cell field, the insufficient quantity window opens to source the part for the customer. I'm going to show you just enough to get you started on the customer sourcing process. So check out the quick sourcing training video to learn all about customer sourcing from the insufficient quantity window. But basically, if your main source has the part, enter the quantity needed and hit enter. Then hit enter again or click accept source. Now let's open the window again and talk about it a little bit. If your main source doesn't have it, enter or tab down or arrow up to select another source. You can click the DCs or other sources button to show other sources if your primary sources doesn't have it. Click oversell to sell it without sourcing, and just know that your stock will go negative, or you can source it later. And if lost sale or back order is set up for the customer, you can log it as a lost sale or back order. This customer is set up for lost sales, but that's a whole nother training subject. Let's go ahead and let's source it from here. So you can edit the shipping, or you can go into advanced sourcing. And again, I'm just going to mention advanced sourcing. Watch the advanced sourcing video for complete training on this screen. You can open the advanced sourcing screen from the insufficient quantity window, or you can click the source it button on the invoicing screen with a part on the cell line or with a part in the body of the invoice. Let's open the screen. This screen does everything the quick sourcing screen does. However, instead of sourcing one part at a time, the advanced sourcing screen is primarily used if you want to add all parts to the ticket and source all of the parts at the same time. All of the parts that need to be sourced show at the top. So let's enter a quantity here. We can confirm purchases, and in here you can edit the shipping. You can edit the cost or the price. You can go back to the sourcing screen, or you can go directly to the invoicing screen. But again, watch the video to fully address this screen. And now, let's touch quickly on ACES electronic cataloging. Watch the ACES catalog video for details on catalog lookup. The Vehicle tab allows selection of a vehicle for catalog lookup, or allows entry of a new vehicle and edit of existing vehicles. Multiple vehicles can be set up and quickly found per customer. And if you select one, when you go into the cataloging screen, the car will already be selected. And clicking the catalog button or hitting the F6 key opens the catalog lookup screen. And see, since we selected a vehicle, it's already displayed. If you don't have the vehicle displayed, enter the year, make, and model, or select the vehicle for repeat customers, or scan the VIN using PartsWatch Mobile, or enter the VIN and enter the group, the subgroup, and part type, and the parts will display. You can also do a part search. You can show secondary lines, all lines, and you can hide parts you don't carry, and you can also interchange a part. Enter the quantity needed and hit enter to sell a part from the catalog. And if you're using the ACES catalog, and the Smart Page camera icon displays. Clicking it will open the manufacturer web page showing information for the part. After lookup is finished, click the Back to Invoice button to return to point of sale with the selected parts on the ticket. And there are a number of setups on the invoice option screen used by the catalog. So open the F1 help file and see if there's any that you would like to set up. And just let me mention a few things before we move on. There are 3 ways to enter notes on the invoice. If a part note was added from the main part entry screen for the part, and the part note pop-up is checked on the invoice options screen, the note will display when the enter key is hit at the part number field. The note will go away when the part is canceled or sold. Then, clicking the Invoice Note button on the point of sale screen opens a pop-up to enter a note pertaining to the invoice. Both this note and the part note prints on the invoice if the print flag is checked and the fields are enabled on your invoice form. And the third way is a line item note. An asterisk in the line field adds a line item note about a part, and if the attached POS line note to previous part setup on the invoice options screen is checked, the system will attach the note to the previous part. And once you hit enter at the cell field, the part moves off the cell line and displays in the body of the invoice. This is the center grid and shows all parts that are being sold on the ticket. I've added a number of items to show you some of the information available, such as the quantity sold, whether or not it's a SKU or a UPC number, PO number, if the item is sourced. The modifier shows that it is a buyout. The info field shows the type of pricing. Here's a quantity break, and it'll show in green. See, the row is green for quantity breaks or promo pricing. If the scan validation flag is checked on the invoice options screen, any parts that must be scanned show in orange. If the zone bin invoice screen set up on the invoice options screen is enabled, the zone bin shows from the main part entry screen. There's just an awful lot of information on here. With a part in the invoice body, right-click the row, and a menu will display. The Create Date displays the date the ticket was started, and the status shows the status of the invoice. If the customer decides they don't want a part on the sales order, select the part and hit the Delete key to remove it. Or if the customer wants to change the quantity sold, double-click it to bring it back to the cell line and change it. Same with pricing. If it's not correct, double-click the row to bring it back to the cell line and hit the F5 key, or click the Edit button to open the Price Edit window. And if you normally have a lot of items on a sales order, the Show Item column flag on the invoice options screen numbers the rows, but keep in mind that it numbers each row, whether it's a sales item, a note, a lost sale, or whatever. And rows used by the program may not display. More than one session of the invoice screen can be opened at the same time, and you can move between them using the F11 window. This way, an invoice can be started for one customer while finishing up one from another customer. Okay, let's pause here and pick back up on selling parts at POS in Part 3D, where we'll get into returning parts and core. So be sure to watch that lesson next. So now, if you have any questions and don't find the answers in the F1 help, please contact your support representative. And thanks for joining us.